Welcome back to another episode of the Backyard Podcast. I'm your host, Marcellus Howard. And before we get started today, I just want to give a huge thanks and a huge shout out to everyone out there listening on Spotify and Apple and watching right now on YouTube. You guys have made this a very easy transition for me. This is another thing that I've always wanted to accomplish, is starting my own podcast. And I've finally been able to do that. And with you guys' support and you guys' love, you made it easy on me. And this is kind of a place where I've always wanted to dive into, or a space I want to dive into, because I feel like I have a lot of stories, a lot of life lessons at even a young age that I can still share with people out there, in which may help individuals who are dealing with something, like they may be going through something that went through before, and it might help them with their certain situation that they're going through today. So today's gonna be a more personable one, and I love these ones because it's kind of like I get to learn more about myself, even with talking. It's kind of like therapy. And you guys get to learn more about me as I talk. So today's topic, I put on IG and someone gave me this topic, was how are you okay with not making it big in sports? And how did you cope with that? So I kind of want to start this podcast off by taking it back to my early years, when I was playing t-ball, soccer, and then basketball. And then my last sport I kind of picked up was football. Baseball and soccer were always my two best sports, but I always had a love for basketball. My biggest problem was committing to baseball. I love soccer, love basketball. I had a trouble committing to baseball, which baseball was actually my best sport. It was like 1A, 1B with soccer. Then it was basketball. I was low-key better at football than I was basketball growing up. But within those years, my father would always harp on me, like, to always play as many sports as you can, to try new things out, and to just not focus on just one thing, not put all your eggs in one basket. And I was so set on trying to make it to the NBA. I wanted to be just like Allen Iverson. I wanted to be just like Bobby Jackson, which were my two favorite players at the time growing up as a kid. And he always instilled in me, like, don't always settle for one thing. It's okay to have backup options. It's okay to have other options and avenues sports-wise. And guys, when I say I was really good at baseball, I mean I was really good. I was a shortstop my whole career. My whole career leading up to like 14 years old. So from about third or fourth grade up to about the 8th grade mark, I was playing shortstop, which is kind of like the hardest position to play on the field, because you have to play in between. You have to play between third and second. You got to be able to make that throw from further than third to first, to turn to. It's a dope position, because then you also, like, I don't know, I really love playing shortstop, man. And I wish I never stopped playing baseball. That's the one sport I wish I never stopped playing. Not only because of the amount of money they make, but I felt like I sold myself short because I love something more that I didn't do what I was talented to do. I was more talented to go the baseball route than I was the basketball route. I had to put more work in for the basketball route than I did the baseball route. Baseball was just supernatural. I'm a natural athlete, but baseball was just supernatural. So I was able to pick up basketball quick, but I was really never that good. So then we go to middle school. I'm playing baseball. I'm playing 14 under as a 13-year-old. I think I was like 12 or 13, 12 turning 13. I think I was the youngest on the team, me and my boy Khalil, and we all went to middle school together, and we went undefeated that year. And I'll never forget it. We were the only undefeated team in the city for, I think the league was called Pony, but I was playing for the Kennedy High School, which is the high school team. I was playing with the high school guys, undefeated, and they told us that we couldn't make the playoffs because we had too many kids that were from different parts of the city. We had a lot of kids from the inner city. We all weren't just from like the South Sacramento area. We were kind of all in the greater Sacramento area, and we all came together and played under Kennedy High School, Kennedy High School's Pony team. And they told us that we couldn't make the playoffs right before our last game. Mind you, we're, I think, 19-0 at this point. So we go in the last game. We didn't give a damn. We threw it, had fun. But after that, I was kind of done with it, man. And in middle school was also when I started to get good at basketball a little bit. I was able to get the ball in my hands. The system was being ran through me in 8th grade and in 7th grade. I was able to get my shots up. I was able to excuse me, work on my offense, work on my, damn, hold on. Ooh, I was able to work on my offense, my leadership, my point guard skills. And yeah, that was like one of the main times I've actually felt like I was the main piece to a sport outside of baseball and soccer. So, not going to dive too much to the AAU talk. That's another talk for another day. Going into high school, I was enrolled at Kennedy High School, and my father calls me and goes, "Hey man, how would you feel about going to Capital Christian?" I was like, I mean, I'm not too fond on private schools. I've always been a public school kid. That's kind of where I I thrive the most in terms of just having fun and being with my boys. It's kind of just a little more free, and that sometimes got me in trouble a lot. Like I had a loud mouth on me. I always talked back. I had a temper issue growing up, and even in middle school, I was always getting in trouble with teachers and getting in fights. So me not knowing Capital Christian would have been my saving grace, But as a kid, I wanted to go like to Kennedy High School with my boys and be with my brothers that I've grown up with. But God had a different plan for me. So my dad called me that day and I was like, "Hey man, I'm down for whatever. I just want to be the best basketball player I could be." So I go to Capital Christian High School, and I go with my boy Nephi, my boy DJ Wilson, who got drafted by the Bucks, plays in NBA, and my boy Malik. We kind of started a whole paradigm shift over there by bringing in people of color, more people of color, and we kind of started our own little dynasty for the 4 years we were there. And I don't think anybody can ever top that dynasty at that school that we had. I don't think any basketball team in history of Capital Christian will be better than the team we had our senior year. So going to that school kind of changed my life, which is another talk for another day. I kind of want to get on, just keep it sport topic today. I kind of want to keep it mainly on sports. So in high school, freshman year, I'm starting on varsity. Sophomore year, get a new coach. Me and him didn't really get along. I was still starting. It was a section championship where he told me and like our second biggest player, "Hey, we're not going to start you two guys," who we were the only two players to play varsity as freshmen as well. And he was like, "We want to start bigger." But I knew that was cap because one, my boy Nephi was 6'4", Samoan, like 290. He's a big guy. Football American, Army All-American. So I said, something's off, man. So he came to us before the section championship at Arco Arena. So this is when you get to play in the NBA court, get your name called in the starting lineup and everything. And he said, "Yeah, we're going to start bigger today." And I was just like, damn. It kind of was a slap in the face because I was kind of the forefront, like the first kind of point guard starting on varsity, starting that whole trend at Capital. We get a new coach, bring in a new point guard. My boy Tyler, who I love to death, that's my dog. But I feel like we did really good playing together. And coach just switched that in the playoffs, and we didn't end up winning state that year. The next year, he gets released, and then we bring in our coach, Coach Devon, who we kind of went there for. He kind of told us like, "Yo, you come here, and I'm gonna do my best to try and be able to coach you guys by your senior year." He was our AAU coach growing up as kids. So finally was our coach. We had an amazing, outstanding junior and senior year. Junior year, I tore my ACL, which was the most, how can I put it? Tearing my ACL was the most beneficial part of my success story. That was the moment where I came back down to earth and knew and finally understood that my shit does stink and that I'm not the guy. I'm no better than anybody else. I'm just human. And that kind of was the ego shot, and I needed that. It allowed me to be vulnerable. It allowed me to be one with my emotion. It allowed me to be a prisoner of my thoughts because I was so caught up on the mindset of making it to the NBA that I was being rude to others. I wasn't being the best son. And going back, when I was thinking about it, going to my freshman year after my dad told me we were going to go to Capital Christian, he had got locked up and did some time, about 3 years. So from freshman, sophomore, junior year, going into senior year, those were like the 3 toughest years of my life. And every time I think about it, I get emotional because it's like, you don't know how much a father figure is needed in your life until it's ripped away from you, right? We've grown up together. I've always looked up to my father, even if he doesn't know it. And I know he's not perfect. And I know he's, had his ups and downs and everything, but we're not perfect. We're all, people under God. So when he went away, did some time, man, that was a really tough time because it was just me and my mom, and I kind of started wilding out. But my saving grace, like I said, was me going to Capital Christian. That was, if I had went to public school, I guarantee you right now, I wouldn't be doing this podcast in front of you. I wouldn't have a YouTube channel. I wouldn't be doing anything content creation. At least I'm like 99% sure. I went a different route, and God knew something was going to happen in my life that was going to change drastically. And the only school and the only people to be able to help me, to be able to accept me for who I was and what I was going to be during that time was Capital Christian. The people I've met are in my life still to this day, and I can't thank them enough, from teachers to faculty to coaches. And Capital Christian, that was like my saving grace. I'm telling y'all right now. But going on to sports, back to basketball, I had fully quit baseball, fully quit soccer, fully quit football in pursuit of just basketball. The thing that my dad told me not to do, not to always worry about just one sport, play everything. So I put all my eggs in one basket. Never got no college recruitment letters. Never got no college coaches calling my phone. Never even talked to a college coach necessarily face to face about recruiting me outside of junior college. And that stuck with me, man. All my friends are getting letters in every single day, and I'm like the only one not receiving no letters, no calls, and that hurt. That hurt a lot. That hurt a lot. It kind of still stings to this day because I feel like I put the work in, but I realized that I wasn't putting the necessary work in as a smaller guard, being 5'7", 5'8", not being able to shoot the ball as well in high school like I am now. I was mainly just focused on finishing and trying to dunk the ball, and my defense was always good. So coaches like that. But if you can't shoot the ball at a high level, being a smaller guard, it's going to be a little tougher to get in the eyes in front of Division II, Division I college coaches' eyes. So after high school, did 2 years at American River College, and freshman year I did solid. Sophomore year, top 5 scorer in the state. That's when I was really becoming into myself. And then another thing happens, break my ankle. I don't want to dive too much into that story because I'm going to save that podcast for later. But after that injury, this is about the time YouTube's popping off, right? So I'm under the impression of, man, it's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and see if I can get my college still paid for, which my college coach still offered me, said, we're still going to offer you no matter what happens to your ankle. And they did, and I finished my 2 years there. But me already knowing that I wasn't going to make it big, I wasn't going to go pro anymore, it was a tough decision mentally to go through, because although I was saying, I love doing YouTube content and stuff, I'm still a competitor. So when you're done with college, that competitive drive doesn't leave, but the ability to be able to compete at a high level every night, that's gone. It's stripped away from you because you're no longer playing college basketball. You're no longer pursuing a pro career. So I guess I went through all of that to say how I coped with not making it big. It was simple. I got to an age where, I'll say a few years ago, right? Before that, I was under the mindset of I'm not shit. I haven't done anything. I'm not, in the eyes of many, I haven't made it big, right? Because I played my 4 years of college, didn't go pro, and now I'm doing YouTube. So I even kind of looked down on YouTube at myself, like, you're doing YouTube and you had aspirations of being a pro player. And then I got to a point where in my mind I said, stop thinking like that. you're making generational money. You're able to pay your bills. You're able to help your family out. You know, you're having fun doing what you do, and you're still traveling the world playing basketball, which you wanted to do anyways. So once I had that shift in my mindset, everything became more clear. So to answer the question, how did I cope with not making it big? The maturity level for me is saying, I made it big. I just didn't make it big in pro sports. You see how I flipped that around? It's not that I don't want to be in the NBA. It's not that I don't want to play at the highest level, but it's the fact that in my career, I have made it big. I have done it my way. So there's no, oh, I didn't make it big. I didn't make it. No, I made it. Because a lot of people who are pursuing a pro dream or who are pursuing basketball or sports at the highest level, when they realize at some of those levels, the pay isn't that good and it's hard to make ends meet, a lot of those people are starting to try to figure out entrepreneur jobs. A lot of them are starting to come into the YouTube world because they see that it's like we making legit money. And they see that we're having legit, like we're having the most amount of fun we've ever had because there's nobody on the back of our necks telling us to run suicides, run this play, to go to film, to watch film, to have individuals, to go to weights, to go to study hall, go to class. Like we're having fun creating and setting our own schedule, traveling at our leisure and doing what we want to do, providing content and entertainment. And I feel like that is the biggest accomplishment in the world, to say you made it big, not in sports, but you made it big doing what you love to do. You made it big in your profession, right? I talked about that kind of on the past podcast where I was saying, you know, turn your passion into monetary value. But yeah, that's how I cope with it, man, because I look at it from a different lens. I've made it big. I've been in the room with NBA players. I know a lot of NBA players. I know a lot of pro guys. I'm best friends. Like one of my best friends is in the league. And that for me is okay. Once I seen that, I said, wow, at least one of us made it. We all talked about it since growing up as kids. At least one of us made it. Shout out to my boy DJ Wilson, my mother effing brother, man. Once he made it, it was more of a at peace for me. Like at least one of us freaking made it. Now I'm not gonna live through him, but I'm able to appreciate his journey and I'm able to support his journey and be a friend and still do what I love to do on the back end, which is still play basketball, but just not the highest level. So I'm happy that I'm able to be in that space to where I'm not looking at it as I failed, because I for sure didn't. In a friend group, one person succeeds, we all succeed. He gets drafted, boom. I'm grinding even harder to do what I love to do. My other friend UC, DJ get drafted. He grinding harder to get where DJ at because he still has aspirations to play in the league, right? And he could do so. My other boy, Tegan, boom. Aspirations now, you know what I'm saying? Now he's working. Went to play baseball at Fresno State, pitcher. Now he's grinding to find a way to turn his passion into monetary value. Like now that moment in 2017 changed all of our. I feel like personally speaking for me, and maybe my friends can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that changed a lot of our perspective and motivated us in different ways to go reach to go be successful in short terms. It gave us more goals to reach. It gave us more things that we wanted to acquire. And I'm thankful to be in the place I am today. So not to get long-winded, that is how I cope with not making it big in sports, because I'm still around sports every day. And my only advice to you guys out there and ladies, not my only advice, but a piece of advice is surround yourself with the right people. Surrounding yourself with a friend group is an investment. If you're surrounding yourself around people who are doing nothing all day and you're investing your time into that, you're going to start doing that subconsciously. So surround yourself with the right people. Surround yourself around people who love seeing you win just as much as you love seeing them win. And when that comes tenfold and full circle, when you get a friend group that loves to see each other win, there's no such thing as failing. There's no such thing as making it big. I mean, there's no such thing as not making it big, because you're making it big every day that you live and you wake up. Like you're a spit image of God. You're making it big every day you wake up. Don't sell yourself short out there. That's the last thing I'm going to say. I love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Backyard Podcast. I'm Marcellus Howard, and I hope you guys subscribe, like, and follow this podcast. This is dope, man. This is a good time. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Catch you on the next one. We out. You did.